I am Jason Abraham, the Shadow Teacher, 33. And on June 26, the year 2020, I had a paradigm-shattering experience in my life. My first UFO contact that I was aware of. I remember going out to Sunset Beach and seeing strange aircraft in the sky, and then seeing orange spheres of energy just show up out of nowhere and make a circle and disappear, and then pink lightning over the ocean flashing, and then the orbs coming back, kind of flashing in a rhythm with that pink lightning. And then the most bizarre part of it all, feeling this electromagnetic tingling in my head and having the feeling like something from beyond was communicating with me. Information was coming to me. And I've not had anything quite like that ever since. But what I've noticed is that the media has been bringing the attention of UFOs to the collective consciousness, to the normies. And with this narrative of UAPs, as they call them now, and the narrative of the media, again, is that whatever these unidentified flying objects are, that they're threatening. But I can say, from my experience, what communicated with me, what I felt, was not threatening at all. It may sound scary to some people when you feel something enters your mind telepathically, enters your mind through a communication form that's beyond the five senses, and just comes in there. Just goes right through the door, right into you, right into your consciousness and your soul, and talks to you, gives you something. But what I can say is something that was that powerful. It probably could have done anything it wanted with me. And it chose just to say hello to me and say, hey, there's more out there. And one of the messages was that it wants to reveal itself to humanity. I mean, full disclosure is coming. Whatever this was, I don't claim to fully know. Again, sometimes I even question, was this even real? Did this happen? But I'm so glad I made videos of it. I'm so glad I wrote about it. I'm so glad I called people when it happened. But I remember, again, one of the messages was, it wants to show up for humanity. But people have to be receptive to it. It is a consciousness, higher consciousness, that I interpreted shows up to those who are receptive, those who are open to it. But it's not going to force itself on those who are not. It's not going to show up and force itself on those who are resistant to it. And it's not here to be the savior of humanity. Whatever this phenomenon in the sky is, it's not here to save humanity. The intention I got was that humanity has to do its own work. We have to level up our consciousness. We have to open the doors of our perception. And we have to cleanse our perception of what is false before having experience with something that is beyond the paradigms that we currently cling to. And I was open to it. And what I see the media doing, and the role of the media, as I see it, is to keep humanity in a lower state of consciousness. It's to keep humanity in the state of fear, in the state of limitation, in a state to where humanity can be controlled by the powers that be in this world, and never open to something higher, something more, a greater potential. a greater potential that wants to connect and have a relationship with humanity in a way that we've not seen and we're not familiar with, but what I believe is something that is beautiful. And the media, again, pushes these narratives of fear, panic, and resistance. And I think that's very much intentional. I think that's intentional with the message that I got, that this phenom wants to come here and wants to show up, but people have to be ready for it. So if too many people are resistant to it, too many people are fearing it, it's not going to force you, and that would change things. And a book is coming out by one of the most interesting experiencers I've come across. When I had this, I was curious about other people who had similar experiences. And right here in North Carolina, one of the most interesting stories I've ever come across is that of one Chris Bledsoe Sr. And he's got a book coming out. Actually, it's out right now, UFO of God. And it's all about his story. And I believe he had a special on the History Channel about him. And I've heard the Chris Bledsoe story, and I fully believe him. It's so similar to the little tidbit that I got. Yet his experience is far more. It's far deeper, far more profound. And I fully believe it, and I know there's something to it. But when you hear his narrative, it's going to be the opposite of what the mainstream media is pushing. It's a narrative that's more similar to what I'm saying, only in far greater detail, a far more profound experience. This is someone whose life was changed in a very positive way, but yet faced great ridicule for something he didn't choose, something that just showed up for him in a time of need. And I believe his story needs to get out there. I believe stories like that need to have the attention to balance what the gaslighting mockingbird media is putting out. Because what the mockingbird media is reporting on is not the same thing as what I experienced. It's not the same thing as what Chris Bledsoe experienced. It's not the same thing that people who are open to greater possibilities see when they see these spheres of light in the sky, and they get downloads. They get these just blurbs of information that flood into them, flood into their consciousness that they were not aware of. Or maybe they were. Like, I'm starting to believe that this is information that's always been there. It's been within us, and yet it's more about remembering than it is about something new, something undiscovered. It's remembering. It's something that's so deep in our souls that we know is true. And when you have this experience, it's a reminder of something that we already know, but yet is forgotten. So with that being said, I'm going to end this transmission. The Shadow Teacher 33 channel is about breaking free of the limitations of our shadows, breaking free of the shadow that's been cast on us ever since we came into the world, the shadow of the Matrix. And on the other side of that, we're called to create. We're called to stand up and create from a new level of consciousness, a higher consciousness that's done its work in healing the trauma and suffering of the shadow. And that's the work I'm dedicated to doing and talking about day in, day out. So be well, my friends, be strong, and I'll see you on the other side.